Rosemary, anywhere you slice it, you look at the numbers, the amount of rainfall that fell over this region on Tuesday alone would equate to what occurs in London in over 6 months' time. In fact, you go past the last 40 or so days over this region of southern India, and I share with you some of the images as far as the airport, and we said the runways there literally taking on water. And this is a city with a metropolitan of almost 9 million people. So we're talking about a population that would put it in the third. About 350 millimeters of rainfall come down in the month of November, easily the wettest month of the year. Look what happened this past November. The rainfall amounts staggering, shot through the roof here with almost 1,200 millimeters, or 4 times of what is considered normal just from those several weeks of rainfall. That's what's led to this 100-year flood in a few areas where some of the heaviest rainfall we've seen since really the early 1900s over this region.
Much of this city of 9 million people is underwater after weeks of heavy rain, the worst flooding here in a century. Some Chennai residents are waist deep in it, some ankle deep. After a few breaks in the rain have let some of the waters recede. These are the scenes from the streets of India's 5th largest city, South India's industrial and commercial centre.
Rainfall records broken in Massachusetts and Maine.
In Ocean Isle Beach, North Carolina, coastal flooding has devastated parts of the area.
The floods are blamed for
unprecedented.
We haven't seen this level of rain in the low country in 1,000 years. That's how big this is.
Streets in Columbia, South Carolina continue to give way. The city of Columbia has gotten more than 18 inches of rain in nearly 24 hours. That is almost a third of what they will get all year.
I've never seen this before in all my life.
But what is El Niño and how does it happen? Firstly, we need to know what's normally happening in the tropical Pacific. This vast stretch of ocean sees consistent winds called trade winds that blow from east to west. These winds push warm water near the surface in their direction of travel, so the warm water piles up on the western side of the ocean around Asia and Australasia. On the other side of the ocean, around South and Central America, as the warmer water gets pushed away from the coast, it's replaced by cold water which is pulled up from deeper down in the ocean. a process called upwelling. This creates a temperature difference across the tropical Pacific, with warmer water piled up in the west and cooler water in the east. Warmer water adds extra heat to the air, which causes the air to rise with more vigour, and it's this rising air that creates an area of more unsettled weather, with more cloud and rainfall. That rising air in the west sets up atmospheric circulation across this part of the world, with warm, moist air rising on one side of the ocean and cooler, drier air descending on the other. This circulation reinforces the easterly winds, so this part of the world sits in a self-perpetuating state until El Niño begins. If conditions are right, tropical Pacific weather systems, or slow changes in the ocean around the equator, can set off a chain of events which weaken or even reverse the usual trade winds. With weakened trade winds, there's less push of warm surface water to the western side of the ocean and less upwelling of cold water on the eastern side. This allows the usually colder parts of the ocean to warm, cancelling out the normal temperature difference. Because the area of warmest water moves, so does the associated wet and unsettled weather. This changes rainfall patterns over the equatorial Pacific, as well as the large-scale wind patterns. It's this change in winds which has a knock-on effect, changing temperature and rainfall in locations around the world. The main impacts are around the tropics, where you see an increase in the risk of floods in Peru and droughts in Indonesia, India, and parts of Brazil. But virtually wherever you are in the world, El Niño has the potential to affect you directly via the weather or indirectly